Good morning. I'm here today with Sandy and I've met you across the Women's Business Collective. I'll throw it over to yourself to introduce yourself.
Yeah, good morning, Ali. Good morning, everybody. So I'm Sandy Davies. I've come to you today from Eastern Guugi country. So I just want to acknowledge here on our special rainforest country, all elders past, present, and emerging. I always feel grateful to be on such beautiful country up here. I moved to Far North Queensland about 15 years ago, coming from Southeast Queensland. And originally, if anyone's picked up on the accent, I was actually born and raised in Kansas, and then had the opportunity to come to Australia, which was quite amazing for me. I was the first person in my family to have that opportunity for higher education, and then got to come to Australia as an ambassador of international goodwill to study social justice and social policy at the University of New South Wales.
Wow. Oh, how incredible. Thank you, Sandy. And I'm here today zooming in from, we've got the Jagera and Turrbal people land here in Brisbane, but I was born in the Ngunnawal land, which is out in Canberra. So thank you for that introduction. And I'm here today to ask you a few questions. So let's just start with one. What is one tactic you yourself use as a mental health tactic to help support your well-being?
I'm the biggest hypocrite there ever was, because I so am. I am the biggest trash talker about the benefits of yoga. And I say I'm a hypocrite because I don't do it often enough. But I find I have a few friends in the continuum of my life that have done yoga their entire lives. And it is like a Harry Potter magic wand. But for me, the hypocrite, I wait until I'm starting to sink, until I'm having a bit of a dip. And then I'm like, oh my God, I've got to do yoga. And then I'm just instantly aware and amazed at the inner benefits that then affect our outer daily life. I'm a huge fan whenever I'm really struggling with a practice called Drew yoga. So Drew yoga isn't sticking your ankle behind your neck or anything like that. It's just some very simple, relaxing breathing techniques, and they just connect with you on a cellular level that leave you ready for everything that's coming at you.
Fantastic. And what a great reminder with this silly season lead up.
Yes. And
sorry, go for it.
With the silly season, I don't know if you've noticed on the back here, but I do you your way, because you are enough. And we need that reminder all year long that we are enough as we are and in the skin we're in. But at the holiday season, especially, do you your way. There is nothing wrong with you saying no to an invitation, or saying, I don't want to do something that particular way, or having a backup emergency plan. If you feel pressured to go to some Christmas event or holiday event, and it's not really somewhere where you want to be with maybe people that you think are going to cause any triggers for you, have a backup plan. Have a mate that sets an alarm to ring you, and then you can just say, oh, sorry, I've just got to dash. I've had a great time. Out you go. That's part of doing it your way, and just being able to control and manage that situation so you're not in something that isn't going to work for you during the holidays. And you don't even have to have the tree. We've had plenty of years where we've not had Christmas, and there's nothing wrong with that. So do you your way always, but especially during the holidays, especially if anything starts to well up, just breathe and relax and do what you need to do for you. No shoulds, no rules from others. Just do you and be you.
Yeah, and what a great reminder. I definitely find, yes, there's a lot of pressure, but in particular, 2021 has been a big year for people. So what a great additional touch point when we are more run down or more tired from all these changes, that we don't necessarily have to put all these extra expectations on ourselves this year. So thank you.
Exactly.
Okay, so my next question to you is, what is a message of hope that you may have, right? We had a chat before about how we as individuals, we've all overcome so much. We have this insight and wisdom now, that when we were going through it or in that eye of the whirlwind, we could have felt overwhelmed by that process. So I'm trying to capture some insights that could be messages of hope that someone may need to hear right now. So what message of hope would you like to leave with our listeners?
Yeah, well, sometimes, well, my biggest thing actually is, I was going to say, hope is always there, but my biggest thing is that joy always rises.
Yeah.
And sometimes finding that way for joy to rise through everything that we're dealing with at the moment can be through the smallest things. And it can just be the smallest moments of gratitude. Elton John's done this new album and he's got this song called I'm Thankful. And every time this I'm Thankful comes on, I just can't get it out of my head. And then I start thinking, I'm thankful for that dragonfly, or I'm thankful for that butterfly that came across my path. And sometimes it can just be those just the smallest, littlest things. And it can even be finding hope through just smiling at yourself in the mirror. And even if you growl or rubbish, being silly, smiling back at yourself, hey, it doesn't matter. It just starts that mindset to be able to find the little things around you, and from those little things it just grows.
Yeah.
And even more than that is just, I don't mean to go all woo woo, but just embrace your magic. I lost my we all have it. That's the thing. Like, we all have this, I don't know, I always call it cosmic dust. But we're a creation of the universe, and we're meant to be here. And I lost my brother to suicide when he was 39. And it was just so sad for him that he had a moment where he couldn't see that long-term purpose of his cosmic dust. And I often just wish he would have had the opportunity to, have a nice sleep and look at the sunrise tomorrow, because tomorrow is always a new day. And I can't believe that it took me until I was 53 to find a writer that actually encapsulated all of that for me. And it's a professor of English literature in India at Marathi University. And she writes about us as human beings in a way that, to me, is the biggest justification for us finding hope, especially if we're struggling with anything. And what she wrote is, be yourself. You are so unique, and you are on this earth because you have a role to perform. You are a part of the grand scheme of things. So without you, the universe will run, of course, but her magic, this is the bit I love, but the universe will not be so beautiful without you. And she's amazing. It's Dr. Vijay Shashini. And I just thought, how beautiful that gift that she's given us, of reminding us that, yeah, of course the universe will keep spinning without us, but there's no way it would be nearly as beautiful or nearly as special. So we got to celebrate our magic dust. That's my hope.
I love it so much. And it's just so amazing to be here chatting to you, and also to have interviewed some other like-minded champions, that are sharing wisdom and insight. And one thing that you just touched on there that I really resonate with, but I know some of our other stories have resonated with, is that just aspect of being you. Like, it may seem so simple, but we can challenge ourselves out of that alignment, or, there's so many signals that tell us when you're in that calibration of yes, or happiness and joy, and this is the right pathway for you. And, we get just the same type of signals when we're knocked out of that alignment of stress or worry or concern. And the sooner we tune in to listen to that, the more we can become our unique selves. I just love that that became a touch point that you brought into this conversation today.
Yeah, well, and you were saying, like, reconnecting with yes. I remember being a teenager and going to a seminar. Like, I lived in a rural area. We drove like 3 hours to a seminar. And towards the end, he said something about, and I think it was Zig Ziglar, and he said something about, you're in charge of the habits you create, and it only takes you 21 days to create a habit. And he sent everyone with this directive to write affirmations on stick-it notes. And it was before affirmations were really a thing. And he wanted you to write 3 key affirmations and put them on your mirror and say them out loud to yourself every morning. And I will admit, I, felt a bit silly the first morning.
Yeah.
But had a pretty good day. And that was at a time, even when I was being bullied and being bruised by a gang of girls that had gotten me in their sights through a poor choice by a coach. And even in the midst of all of that, the second day, even better. The third day, by the time I got to day 21, hey, Zig was right. 21 days to form a good habit and create that yes.
Isn't that beautiful? And I just want to add on to that, because you've mentioned the keys of joy, right? It's just that I came across this study that, mind blown, why aren't we doing more of this? But anyway, it was a play therapist put it out there to say, it takes roughly 21 days to form a new habit, or I think it's approximately 400 hours of learning that new skill, they were saying, unless it's done with play. Because if you do 10 to 20 repetitions with play and joy, you will actually get to forming the synapses much faster in connecting to your true self. So we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Mind blown.
I know, the subconscious mind is so very powerful, but what a great tool for those that may not be yet in that habit, or may not have been introduced to that power of affirmations and mindset that can really make a huge difference in some of those challenging times. Okay, my last question to you, why prevention, right? The mental health sector is so focused on crisis response. Naturally, the government funds, it kicks in once there's a need, someone is ill, then money goes towards hospitals, money goes towards, in a lot of this suicide space, a lot of it has gone heavy on the crisis end. But why prevention? We're starting to see a shift in government understanding we need to invest in people and prevention. What are your thoughts on why do you think it's important to invest in prevention?
One of the biggest things, I suppose, for prevention is we are all loved and we're all unique and we all bring amazing things to the table with our own perspectives. And when we can have prevention early on by making sure that those around us know that we care and know that they're loved, we don't have to have the major stumbling block of rock bottom. And I guess I was always big on, I thought rather than having to have experiential learning, we could have shared learning. So we can gain from someone else sharing their rock bottom experience. And we don't have to get that far. And sometimes prevention can even just be as simple as spreading the joy that you have in your circle and saying, "G'day, mate, how you going?" And really wanting to know the answer. And being aware, if someone's having a bit of a struggle, there's nothing wrong with just offering that hand and just providing that extra strength for the journey. And I don't know, once to go back to music again, once again, Jack Johnson did this really groovy song called The Sharing Song. And I'm so big on a shared journey is an easier journey. If you, so it's that same thing with prevention. When we all come together, we're a collective, stronger mob, and we move forward. And in that mob is that potential to be you and bring your strengths. And your strengths can sometimes even be a quiet presence. If you're struggling, you still have a lot to bring to the table, and it can just be quiet presence.
How beautiful. Couldn't agree more. I'm loving seeing that prevention is becoming on the forefront, and I'll just share this one little story in case any of our listeners may or may not be aware of it, but I've been really watching what they're doing in the UK with this prevention side of things, because they've got this scheme going on now that if an individual presents to a doctor with depression and isolation symptoms, they can actually prescribe a 10-week art class now, or prescribe physical activities. And part of that, the reason art's on prescription was becoming a focus is because I have realized sometimes who are those individuals that are recycling back into seeing the GP and getting another script of antidepressants, because sometimes it is actually an underlying reason is loneliness or isolation. So that art class connects them with community.
Yes.
And so it's great to see that community connection, and you touched on the power of lived experience stories as well. It's great to see that there is more shared knowledge going out there, and there's an opportunity to be able to focus on this real wellness space to build resilience together, so that we're not having to deal with that pitfall of falling into the rock bottom, as you described before. So Sandy, my final and last question to you is, if anyone has resonated with anything that you've raised here today, how can they get in touch with you?
Yes, absolutely. So you can get in touch with me through happypause.com.au. So that's HAPPYPAUSE. So like a happy pause, happypause.com.au. And especially one of the things that I do in my work life is I do a healing balm for women that are struggling with dryness. And that includes women with endo, perimenopause, postmenopause, cancer journey, and a lot of other type 1 diabetes, a lot of other things that can contribute to that. So if any of that adds to that feeling of isolation from the struggle of trying to find the right solution, give us a shout and reach out. And as a collective group of women, a rising tide lifts all ships. And we need you fellas supporting us as well. So it wasn't just about us ladies.
Yeah, for sure. And we were just talking about prevention. So look, getting that story out there, and just a message that, you know, we don't have to keep all these conversations closed off and behind closed doors. Together we are stronger.
Absolutely.